You are now tuning in to Three Count Podcast, baby. I'm Dylan Chambers alongside Benny Hobden. We're still recovering from All Out. Benny, what a way to kick off your AEW pay-per-view experience.
Wow. Absolute wow. That was amazing.
That was a pay-per-view and a half, that's for sure.
That was two. It was two. I'll give it, yeah. It was amazing. Two. It was crazy.
Amazing. We're going to talk all about All Out today. Thank you for joining us. Now, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button down below. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please drop a 5-star review. It really help us out. We'd really appreciate it. I want to throw a special shout out to our producer, Chris Mullum, and Studio 311. They do a lot of good work for us, making the pod happen every week while we're in lockdown. Do some amazing stuff. You know, if you need any corporate, live, or digital event production, hit them up, Studio 311.
Great work, Mull. Love your work, mate.
Love you, Mullum. We're going to talk about the card a little bit later in the show. But, Benny, obviously, we got to start with the big debuts.
Well, where do you start? Which debut do you want to start with? Should we start in the middle? Should we start with the biggest? Who do you think was the biggest?
The biggest was Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan. That's the last time we'll refer to him as Daniel Bryan.
I'm going with your shirt. I think that was bigger.
The
Adam Cole, baby. That was massive.
That was huge. And the way they played it off at the end of the main event was just amazing how they did it. I mean, name-wise, I think Daniel Bryan's the biggest, but pop-wise for me, Adam Cole.
I think we all knew Bryan Danielson was going there. So that's why for us it was going to come eventually. Yeah. Adam Cole was up in the air. We didn't know. The lights went black and then just boom. It was the biggest pop. I went crazy. Yeah. It was so good.
And I think as well, because everyone was expecting Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole showed up, it was like that extra surprise.
You could hear the crowd. They were all doing the chant, the yes chant and everything else. And that's what everybody expected. And then when Adam Cole hit, it just nobody knew what to think.
Yeah, it was awesome. And the other debut, as we were mentioning, Ruby Soho, a.k.a. Ruby Riott, made her debut as the Joker in the Women's Casino Battle Royal, which was pretty cool too.
Which, when we think about it, we should have known.
Should have known. I mean,
how did we not pick that?
It was very quiet on the dirt sheets in regards to Cole and Ruby, really.
Yeah.
So they were both kind of surprising. They did a good job of keeping that under wraps.
Yeah, I think so too. But once she came out, I think it was inevitable that she was going to, well, we'll come back to that later, but what happened in that match and stuff like that. So, but yeah, what a show. I don't think I've seen a better pay-per-view in a very, very long time.
In a very long time. It was, all the matches were great. You know, there were surprises. It brings you back to, you know, maybe some of the more recent wrestling fans won't have experienced it, but, you know, with WCW back in the day, not knowing where people were going to pop up. Yeah. And the fun of the surprise, which WWE, once WCW was gone, took away. You know, if there was someone coming back, they'd promo it for such a long time.
Yeah, the vignettes were too much. It was just too, you'd know it way in advance. And because they were the only wrestling people out there, like, where else was anybody ever going to go? So anytime a big name was out and possibly going to get signed, we knew where they were going and what they were going to do. Obviously, we now know that AEW is the only other one, so that's where they're going to go. But when, where, how, and what situation?
And eventually we're going to get to a point too where stars will go from AEW to WWE. Yeah. So it's just going to be that fun surprise factor, which I've missed for so long.
Well, which our beautiful little invasion, little promo card that we did last week works perfectly, because if they start switching back and forth, it's going to be fun.
It will be a lot of fun. So, I mean, but there's also been, you know, quite a bit going on in the wrestling world this week.
Go if you've got something.
I'll delve into. I mean, we had the passing
of quite a bit between us.
The passing of WCW's Daphne. Unfortunately, she committed suicide. So that was a shame, that one.
She put about a distressing thing on live the night before, saying how she felt alone and she wanted to donate her brain to CTE and all that kind of stuff. So they did a welfare check and everything, and then the next night, obviously, sad news, she was gone. So a lot of tributes going out to her this week.
There have been, and you know, as we found out in lockdown, it's easy to feel alone. So you know, if you can reach out to someone and just say hi or start a podcast, you know, just do it.
Just to chat to somebody, it's good.
Just to chat. It's
Jump
a
on
great
Lifeline
idea.
if anybody needs anything.
That's right. What have you got, Benny?
Mate, my couple of different little, just to take a little bit lighter note, we've seen Jeff Hardy challenging for the 24/7 title this week on Raw. Did you see that?
Jeff Hardy was out there, was he?
Jeff Hardy was running out there. He's absolutely copying it. So is WWE on Twitter. It's pretty funny to read some of the stuff that everyone's just giving it to him. I think it really, once his contract's up, I think he's going to jump as well. Obviously, the whole Hardy connection and everything like that. But it's just funny to see him out there, like fall from grace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I did see Matt Hardy tweeted the other day. I think it was a picture of him and Jeff against the Young Bucks, saying it was a blast from the past. So
yeah, the only problem is they're just so old now. Like Matt Hardy, just anyway. Because we did see him falling from grace, and then he obviously beat Karrion Kross on his debut when he came up to Raw, and I was like, oh, maybe Jeff's going to go on a bit of a run here, and then that just fell through again.
I don't think they know what they're doing with Jeff Hardy.
No, I think they just they use him for the pop for the younger fans and the crowd, and I think that's about it.
Speaking of our draft scenario last week, Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin.
Oh,
Daredevil match.
That'd be interesting.
That would be fun.
Imagine them jumping off stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just mentioning Karrion Kross. Apparently his ring gear that he's wearing at the moment was originally pitched to the Bludgeon Brothers.
Right.
Yeah. Rowan's just come out and said that, well, Big Red is whatever he's called these days. So they've been holding on to that for a while. Bludgeon Brothers haven't been around for that's no 4 years, 5 years old.
One of those things that sits in that facility they've got at Stamford. Yeah,
it's a bit weird. Also, well, just on dress ups as well, Kevin Nash gave props to Kofi and Woods for their little outsiders gear, hence why I'm wearing the Wolfpack shirt tonight.
Very nice.
So I thought that was good. They looked good. We did see it. We've been saying it and I've been waiting for it. I even tweeted it out or put it on Instagram, but we're just waiting for Big E to come out as Hollywood. If he grows a beard and puts the blonde in his beard and does that, that'd be the best ever.
Once he gets the title, I'll tell you. He's
going
to be playing
about it. And then mentioning New Day, they've got their interactive Halloween movie with Taker coming out on Netflix. That should be interesting.
That'd be interesting. I actually watched one of those interactive Netflix movies. Yeah, I think it was the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt one or something like that. But it was kind of fun. You know, you choose where the story goes, and I guess that'll be a bit of fun.
Well, with the knowing that we're wrestling fans, I think it'll be a lot more fun. I don't know. I've never seen one, so I don't know. It reminds me of those Goosebumps books as a kid, like Choose Your Own Adventure.
Choose Your Own Adventure books. It's exactly like that.
Yeah, okay, that'll be fun. As I said, most of my news this week is fun stuff. Did you hear about Boogs, our mate Rick Boogs? WWE, he hadn't played the guitar in 15 years.
Wow.
And WWE gave him 12 hours to learn Shinsuke's entrance theme. And if he'd done that, then he could obviously do it. And that's obviously working well for him at the moment.
I love Boogs. He's got so much charisma. I love it.
He's out there in that denim singlet one-piece thing. He's actually winning some matches, so I don't mind it. I think it's a pretty good little gig.
He's got. He loves the move where he puts them in like an abdominal stretch and plays them like a guitar.
Yeah, it's good. What else have I got here? Gable Stevenson signed, the Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
Signed with WWE.
Reportedly signed with WWE. He hasn't made it official yet, but I mean, who else is there?
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, he could go to AEW, I suppose, for a 10, but
I have a feeling he'll go to Orlando for a while and be training for a while.
Oh, without a doubt. But see, that's where WWE can sign those kind of people and build them and nurture them. Whereas AEW, you sign, if you're green, you won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's where they've got sort of that performance center's massive down there.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else? There's a few other
Well, speaking of the kind of performance center developmental side, we're gonna have the new look NXT debuting on September 14. So that'll be September 15 over here.
Next week. Yeah.
Apparently there's a new set as well as all the colorful graphics and everything. So that'll be kind of fun. I did see a report on Kevin Owens' contract, which
I read something briefly, but yeah, go for it.
Which is set to expire in January next year. So it's only 4 months away. Apparently it was longer, but a lot of the contracts were changed during the pandemic. He's thrown a few cryptic tweets out there because he did have a stable once upon a time with the Young Bucks and Adam Cole.
Yeah, right.
So I think they were called Mount Rushmore or something like that. And he changed his bio location on Twitter to almost there. So a few little cryptic things going on there with Kevin Owens. But if I definitely think he could do with a change of scenery.
Yeah, well, he's not doing much at the moment, is he? He's just sort of in that mid-card range that just he's not really
helping get Baron Corbin over at the moment.
Yeah, which we don't mind. I don't mind that. That's a fun little gimmick.
Don't mind Happy Corbin. Speaking of AEW, Tony Khan has reportedly put over $10 million of his own money into the AEW video game department and the latest console game that's going to be coming out. I did see Jungle Boy put something on his Instagram, a few little kind of screenshots and showing what the game looked like. It was him against Darby Allin, I believe, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
It's being done with Ukes, who I think they did the WCW games back in the day.
They did do WCW, yeah.
So that should be fun. It looked pretty good.
Yeah, nice. That's a lot of money, though.
It's a lot of money.
Your own money. Own money. That's not the company. That's the company spending it as well. He's spending his own money. So
that's his own money, and he says he's going to get it all back. The video game's going to be that good. So
I've seen a couple of memes out there. It's like they keep comparing Tony Khan to like Thanos. It's like with the glove, and he's just like complete. He's just gathering up all the Infinity Stones, but they're all just like his own little toys, and he's having his own little game of WWE. You could just imagine him sitting there just with these little toys as a kid. And now he's just doing it in real life. So
be nice to have all that money to play around.
Have that money, power to him. Good on him. Have some fun.
No, he is, and he's turned the wrestling game on its head at the moment, so it's been good. I did see that the Miz has just hit as someone who's just hit their 15 years at a company. The Miz has just hit his 15 years at WWE. So as a full-time wrestler, that's longer than The Rock and Stone Cold lasted as full-time wrestlers with WWE. So tip of the hat to the Miz.
Bit of a difference in comparison there, but yeah, no, he's done well.
a little bit. We saw on SmackDown last week a tiny tease for the Demon.
Halloween's coming around. It's the perfect time to drop it.
Which should be pretty cool. I mean, Extreme Rules, that could be a fun match. We saw Jon Moxley win the GCW championship over Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder.
Woo, woo, woo.
The other day, he wore a GCW shirt to the ring at All Out. And just on Extreme Rules, we have 4 matches set so far. We've got Bobby Lashley against Randy Orton for the WWE championship. Charlotte v. Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. Then we've got Belair and Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's title. And lastly, Damian Priest and Sheamus for the US title. So we've got a few matches already set there.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of interesting things there. Obviously, well, I guess we'll talk about it coming up, but I feel like we've seen a bit of it, and I just don't know where they're going to go. It just seems very straightforward for me so far with those.
And especially, it seems like it's going to be a bit of a nothing pay-per-view following All Out. I know they can't conjure up one of the big 4 out of nowhere, but they could have done something to try and make things a bit bigger. But I guess they're saving it.
Still got a couple of weeks, so I guess we'll see.
The crown jewel. But anyway, speaking of All Out, Benny, let's jump into the card. That's what we're here for. We'll start off with the 10-man tag match on the buy-in show. Pretty fun match. Whenever you get Jurassic Express involved, for me, I'm a big Orange Cassidy mark, so that's always fun. Match has ended with Angelico tapping out to the snare trap by Jungle Boy. After the match, the Butcher returned, attacked Orange Cassidy, attempted to cut his hair until a host of Cassidy's friends like the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin, who I'm big on. I like Dante Martin, made the save and they ran in from the back.
It ended up being pretty much just get every face from AEW that's not on the card there at one stage, didn't it? It was just pretty everybody running in, which you don't mind. It's the buy-in. Everybody wants to have a little bit of fun and get out there and get their face on screen. So
exactly,
it was all good. It was interesting to see the Butcher come back though. That was a bit different. And to go against go straight for Cassidy, I was a bit surprised. But yeah,
it's interesting. But in any case, I gave the match a 1.5 count because it did what it was supposed to do. It was fun, fast paced, got the crowd revved up, got all the faces out and kind of on top at the end and just kind of kicked it off.
Yeah, perfect way to start the pay-per-view before we get into all the fun.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, sometimes we look at what's next for these guys. I mean, I think this Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy thing kind of continues, and I'm hoping Jurassic Express kind of gets back in the title picture, but maybe they'll have a bit of a rivalry with the Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah, look, obviously they come back out a little bit later on. They're seen again later on, so we don't know. They're always going to be in and around that sort of title area, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So we then saw the American top team's Dan Lambert in a skybox with a couple of MMA fighters. We had Andre Arlovsky, Junior Dos Santos, Jorge Masvidal, and Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are up there, who put AEW roster on notice. So interesting to see what will happen there. But a lot of
Jorge'd be fun. Jorge'd be fun. I think.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Jorge against somebody like Moxley or something like that. That would be fun.
That would be good. That would be good. So then we kick off the actual pay-per-view. We've got the TNT Championship between Miro and Eddie Kingston. It was a pretty hard-hitting match. I mean, it was ended when the referee stopped Kingston from putting Miro into an exposed turnbuckle, where there was a little bit of a schmoz in the match where the turnbuckle didn't really come off, and then the referee ended up taking it off. Kind of took away from it a little bit, but in any case, the referee stopped Miro from going into it. And while the ref couldn't see, Miro kicked his leg back to give Kingston a low blow, which led to a Machka kick and the pin for Miro. What'd you think of that one, Benny?
I thought it was a decent match. Eddie put on a better show than I was expecting, to be honest.
Me too.
Like, he sort of, it just, I don't know if they weren't selling each other's moves enough, or he's just trying to show how hard Miro was, but I'm just as hard as you, that kind of thing. It was like that whole hit not fall kind of, I don't know, it was interesting. It was a fun, it was did what it did. I think the schmoz at the end wasn't expected, and with that little twist on how it sort of didn't go right, it wasn't a real schmoz, if you know what I mean. Like, I think that made it, like, we didn't expect that. The one thing that I noticed with AEW as well, with putting that 20-minute time limit on the match, makes you sit there and go, oh, is it going to go to the time limit? And they mentioned it a couple of times in the match, so it was kind of, will Miro not get the win? Which I think gave it that little extra. Yeah. You're thinking, oh, Eddie might be a chance here to actually, like, even if he doesn't win, he gets
just hold out.
Yeah. So, and then Miro does what he does. He's just a beast.
He is a beast.
So I gave it a 1.5 count for me to start off the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think Miro looks great, and I think, like you said, Kingston absorbed a lot, and I think he went up in a notch in my book. As for what's next, Kip Sabian is apparently getting ready to make his return. So, you know, we saw Miro kind of turn on him and injure him and put him out for a little bit. Though Kingston was wearing his new shirt, which says "Redeem D's Nuts."
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So maybe the feud will continue to keep selling that shirt.
Yeah, apparently he only came up with that like within 2 days or something, 3 days, and they got the shirts out straight away. So that was pretty good by the merchandising people. So
that's a good job from AEW. Geez, they've been under the pump for getting new merchandise out.
Well, it's just non-stop at the moment, isn't it?
So we then go to Jon Moxley taking on Satoshi Kojima. Another real kind of hard-hitting match. Very, very hard match. Moxley in the end shook off some heavy chops, delivered 2 paradigm shifts to earn the win. So that wasn't the kind of story of the match. The story was after the match, Minoru Suzuki came out to make his debut, came face-to-face with Moxley. They exchanged a few forearms till Mox got caught with a choke and then a gotch pile driver to leave him laying in the ring.
Yeah, it was good. It's the forbidden door just getting broken down again.
Yeah.
I think, well, obviously we've seen a bit later on, Mox came out and had a little backstage interview and was saying, well, Suzuki, you know, there's a little town down the road, Cincinnati, let's go this week. So that should be interesting. That'll be a pretty...
That's booked for Dynamite this week.
Dynamite, yeah. But the slaps at the like, they were just slapping the hell out of each other at the beginning of that. But they were both bright red. It was pretty solid. I just think, again, I keep coming back to the commentators. There was just so much emphasis on the lariat. Like, obviously, I know they both used that move, but he kept going for it. They were calling it before the move was about to happen and that kind of stuff. It just sort of put it off. It was like it was off just that tiny little bit.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a great match. I gave it 1.5 count personally.
Yeah.
And it was just a couple of hard men, really. It was just,
yeah. I mean, I gave it. I gave it the 1.5 count as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. Suzuki arriving was cool. I mean, that dude looks crazy. So
Even like, are they scars in his head, or is that just the way his hair's been cut?
I think that's the way his hair's cut. But
yeah, he's just walking out. He's got the George Animal Steel tongue going on and stuff like that. It was just
he looks crazy.
Just another thing with that, like Mox's elbow got pretty split open and stuff like that, and he's got that history with the staph infection from a couple of years ago with that elbow and stuff. So I was like, and then once he started slapping Suzuki,
blood was going everywhere,
all over his neck and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, you love it. It was good. It was good to see.
Yeah, my wife popped in during that match, and she's like, "Is that guy bleeding from somewhere?" And I was like, "No, he's just getting slapped by a guy who is bleeding."
Yeah, no, it was good. It was
that was good. We then move on to the AEW Women's Championship match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Chris Statlander, and what a fantastic match! Jeez.
Wow.
Back and forth. Baker hit a stomp on the outside, followed by a Pittsburgh Sunrise, and then another stomp, and then the lockjaw to get the win.
Athleticism through the wahoo in this match from both of them. Britt's a great heel.
Yeah.
A brilliant heel. And just, yeah, I one of them, like the Fisherman's Hook Falcon Arrow that Chris put on, that was amazing.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before, and I was just like, wow, that was such a move.
Those two just put on such an amazing show. Just like the back and forth and the, one fighting up against the other. And it was an incredible match. One of the best women's matches I've seen in a long time, to be honest.
Chris is so strong as well, like scary strong. And I think Britt, her legs and stuff are just as strong. Like there was some of the moves she was getting out of. I was like, how was she doing that? Because she looks tiny.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I did, the face, because I'd never really seen Chris Statlander before. That face paint and stuff. I swear there's a Kesha film clip or something. That's who she reminded me of the old time I was looking at, or an album cover. It's like, is that Kesha out there? It's really putting me off halfway through the match. But
I don't know what they use because it doesn't come off.
Yeah, compared to everybody else's. Like
maybe she's tattooed.
No. Well, she is from outer space, so we don't know.
That's right.
And then obviously Britt with the Pittsburgh Sunrise, that was pretty cool as well. Like
Britt's got an awesome array of moves.
Yeah. It's one of the best women's matches I've seen. Well, it was just a great match. Let alone women's matches to don't even have to put women's into it. It was just a really great match.
It really was. And I think it was interesting to see Britt kind of get the win without the outside help. I mean, your typical heel win, it's going to be a little bit schmozzy, and she just got it clean, which just cements her as that top women's wrestler in the company. But to be honest,
on the outside as well, and then the other two on the outside, but they didn't get involved too much, which was good.
And to be honest, even despite losing, Statlander's, she's turned a couple of heads, I think, with that performance, and no doubt she'll get another shot at that title.
The loss didn't hurt her in any way.
No,
not in any way. I gave it a 2.5 count personally, and probably could have got a bit more, but I mean, compared to what's coming,
mate, we're on the same page. I went 2.5 count as well. It was incredible.
Me, Dylan. This is ridiculous.
Well, and I'm hoping we get more from these two, but I have a feeling Britt Baker will be getting involved with the winner of the Casino Battle Royal, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So after that match, we then headed backstage to Andrade El Idolo. I'm starting to get that one right. It's a bit of a mouthful.
I rewound it a couple of times and listened to it just to see if I could pick it up.
Andrade El Idolo.
I'm still not going to try.
So he couldn't take on Pac at All Out, but that's going to happen on Rampage this week. So that should be fun.
Well, unless if they continue this gimmick of him missing flights and Chavo with his little playoff. And one thing, Andrade looks huge. Looks like a beast. Like he just, compared to his gimmick in WWE to here, he just looks massive. Yeah,
he looks a lot bigger now.
Yeah.
Well, he's not wrestling any matches, so it's just
he's like us in lockdown, mate. He's just porking it on. So
this then leads us to the AEW Tag Team Championship Steel Cage match, the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers.
Mind blown. We did say on the preview we thought it could steal the show, but come on.
It absolutely stole the show. I mean, Lucha Brothers came out for their entrance, had their theme song being performed live. They had the huge kind of Mexican headdresses on. just incredible moves to start it off. Ended up with the Bucks trying to tear the masks off Penta and Phoenix. They had
which added to it as well. Once the blood started to flow, that ripped mask just added to the
ripped mask just made it look great. They had the special Nike Travis Scott Air Force One thrown into the ring with the thumbtacks taped on the bottom. Penta got super kicked with it. He dove in front of his brother to protect him from a super kick from it, which was a cool little kind of little story inside the match, which is cool, trying to protect his brother. Had his face rubbed in it and just got that blood flowing. Ray Phoenix got super kicked with it. Penta ended up breaking up a 3 count. Phoenix grabbed the shoe, hit Nick Jackson with it. Just the thumbtack shoe was being used all over the place.
Everywhere.
The match ended with Ray Phoenix jumping off the top of the cage with a huge crossbody on both the Jacksons and Penta, and then followed by a spike to Nick for the 3 count. It was that little spiel I just gave of the match does not do it anywhere near the justice. There was so many great spots and moves, and it was incredible.
So the thing, it was just, I'm lost for words. It's literally lost for words. If you haven't seen it, do yourselves a favor. Even if go back and just watch that match first, and then if you can get back a chance to watch anything else, but watch that match first because it was crazy.
I've got 4 words to describe the match. Match of the year.
Yeah, well, that's probably fair. It's probably fair. I knew you were going to give a good breakdown of it, so I've sort of just written down some funny stuff that I sort of not funny, haha. Some of it is haha, but I mean, I was obviously expecting the high flying spots and all that kind of stuff, but they still told a pretty decent story, like you were saying. There was a couple of stages where both the older brothers sort of were doing things to the younger brothers, looking at each other in the eyes and stuff. I thought that sold really well. That was good. Nick Jackson, what is that look that he's going for?
I don't know.
Because there was one stage, now for those people on YouTube, I'm going to attempt it, but he did the little hand on the belt with he looked like he did a little macho man. I don't know if that was what he was going for. I was waiting for him to pull out I don't know. It was weird. It was very weird.
I guess he's trying to differentiate himself from his brother, so he's doing a good job of it.
Possibly. What else have I written here? I said, I think that chain link cage, being in the crowd there would have been tough to watch.
Yeah.
We were lucky to watch it all, obviously on TV, so it was easier with the different camera angles. But they even had GoPros on the posts and stuff like that.
They did. I noticed that. I thought
in the Darby Allin match, I noticed it a bit more. But
they did have one cameraman inside, and then a couple of GoPros on the different stanchions. So it was cool.
It definitely helped to the match. A funny part, obviously, Don Callis was on. Was on commentary with the boys, but Schiavone pulls out "You're so full of shit" straight to Don Callis, and it just reminded me back in the days when he used to talk to Bobby Heenan in WCW. He was just giving it to him, and then it was just false finishes galore, and then that super kick spot at the end where they were just going around in circles and just super kick, and then
it was a super kick party.
It was good. You can't do that in WWE; you get fined. But mate, I gave it a 3 count. It was just perfect.
Me too. What can you say? Match of the year, 3 count for me, easy.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What do you think they do?
New champs. Obviously the Young Bucks are going to be itching around there to try and get it back. They'll do everything they can. Don Callis will try and rort something out and try and make out that they shouldn't have lost it. I think it was good. It was good the way they won it. It was sort of heartfelt. He got his daughters down there at the end. It was I don't know.
All the family was covered in his blood. It was
and you notice the refs were trying to we're running over time. You need to get backstage, get out of here. And he's like, I don't care. I've got my family. I think they'll be there and thereabouts. It'll continue to feud a little bit.
I think
the Young Bucks had the title for so long, so you can't just push them to the back of the line.
They're not going to give it up so easily. So I mean, more of it. More of it. That was incredible. I don't know how they top it though.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I don't know how they top it.
You can't. Match of the year. You were right. So if they do, well, wow.
Bring it on. Bring it on. We then move on to the 21-woman casino battle royale. Now,
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this, obviously, bringing in the 5 girls at a time. Jade Cargill, Jamie Hayter looks strong. But obviously the big moment was the Joker and the rival of Ruby Soho, formerly Ruby Riott. Came down to Soho and Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa put on a pretty good showing as well.
Yeah.
They had a fight on the apron, which ended up with Soho kicking Rosa to the floor. I gave it a 1.5 count. I mean, it was fun, plenty of action. We got the entrance of Soho, did what it needed to do.
Yeah, I wasn't real, because I'd never seen one before. I wasn't real sure on that whole bringing them down 5 at a time. I think it just sort of lost a little bit of what it needed to do, because they had to make sure that there was only 2 or 3 in the ring. So they deliberately got rid of a certain few. So you just knew what was sort of going to happen.
Yeah.
Once Ruby's music hit, I think it was pretty much sold. She was going to win it. She took forever to get to the ring. She's walking out, like the whole jacket. Oh, she had the destination AEW on the back of the jacket from all the vignettes that she's been putting out. It was good. I gave it a 1.5 count as well. I think the funny thing was JR after the match turned around and said Ruby Riott was the winner. And he corrected himself. Yeah. I was like, did he say that? Or rewound it? I was like, yeah, he said Ruby Riott. I think Shivani quickly jumps over the top and goes Ruby Soho. So
JR's had a couple of classics while he's been at AEW. I think he said WWE at one point.
Yeah, he keeps stuff it up, but hey, who cares? It's a bit of fun.
He cares. It's JR. He gets a pass. So
he does.
I mean, as for what's next, it looks like we're getting Soho versus Baker coming up.
From the match, there was a couple of other things, like obviously Anna Jay and Bunny were going at each other quite a bit. There's like the Dark Order stuff in there and that. Yeah. Red Velvet put on a very short but good little show while she was in there.
Yeah,
there was a couple of good moves. Who else was there?
Nyla Rose had a pretty good showing. I mean, like I mentioned before, Thunder Rosa had a good showing, and I hope they push her a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think she looked good.
Yeah, so we then move on after the Casino Battle Royal. We have the final fight, Jericho's career on the line, MJF against Chris Jericho. Full of action, back and forth, plenty of great maneuvers. MJF used a distraction from Wardlow to hit Jericho with Floyd the baseball bat, followed by a Judas effect, and he got the 3 count. Jericho got his foot up on the ropes, but they counted the 3. They gave the match to MJF. And it's just one of those things where it's that old school, what's going on, but you really need them to restart that match.
Yeah, and you weren't sure at first. I was like, are they going to restart it? Like, oh my God, it's happened. Wow, this is crazy. And then obviously the other ref comes out.
They restarted the match. Jericho escaped an armbar, put MJF in the walls of Jericho to get the submission win. Afterwards, Inner Circle came out to descend on the ring to celebrate with Jericho.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. It started out like, obviously they went into the crowd and stuff like that. And I was like, this is just going to be a slugfest street fight brute, because that was before it even started. I was like, and then Jericho picks up a bollard and drops it on MJF's head. I was like, this is what's going on here. And then it turned into a sort of an old school wrestling match, really, which was good.
It kind of went from street fight to regular wrestling match. And
and I think that it wasn't even a schmoz. It was but it was just like a good sort of, as you said, you wanted it to restart because everybody knew that Jericho couldn't get beaten, he couldn't retire. But for that couple of seconds, you're like, oh my God, it's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you were waiting for that guy in the front row when Undertaker's streak got finished, like those eyes just going.
It was perfectly done to get that shock from the crowd.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen something like that for a while, which was good.
No, yeah,
it was really AEW. It was fresh. It was fresh for them. So.
Exactly. I gave it a 2.5 count. Now I know that's
I gave it a 2, but I mean that still doesn't take away anything.
I thought it was a 2 count match, and I'm giving it the extra half for one of the longest storylines we've seen in a long time. It's the payoff from a year-long storyline. So that got the extra half count for me.
That's fair enough.
As for what's next, this has got to be done.
Has to be, surely.
This has got to be done. I have a feeling
they'll do like a one little thing for it, and then that'll be it, I reckon.
I have a feeling Jericho will be gone for a little while. I think maybe they'll kind of utilize him. He's been wrestling matches every week.
Yeah.
In this, but the labors of Jericho. So I think he's probably due for some time off. And And to be honest, for MJF, there's plenty of faces that need a dance partner right now. You know, you got Christian, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara hasn't been wrestling very much, you know, to keep that Pinnacle Inner Circle feud going.
Yeah, and the other thing as well, Chris Jericho obviously had the guitarist on Fozzy Payne behind him when he came out. I feel like Fozzy's got an upcoming tour, so
Possibly.
I do think that they'll be gone. He'll be gone for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then obviously I think what happens with the Inner Circle, they sort of might get diminished a little bit, and then Jericho can come back big and help them out in some big storyline down the track, and then it's back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, MJF through this storyline, he's a top heel. He's very
done his job, because every time he comes on the screen, I want to throw something at the TV.
He's so, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. He's so Mizish, you know.
Yeah.
He's got that kind of like undersized, really annoying, dastardly.
For me, he's like the Miz's annoying little brother. Like, you know, when the annoying, like the little brother's just that annoying shit that just like won't go away. That's what he is. Like, a Miz has evolved, and MGF's just, does my head in. But that's good. He does his job, so you want to see him lose, so you tune in all the time.
Exactly. We now move on to one of the most anticipated matches in a long, long time: CM Punk versus Darby Allin.
Wow.
A great match. You know, Allin pulled out all the stops. Darby ended up going for a coffin drop. Punk sat up, gave a little wink like he knew it was coming.
The little laugh. What was that? That was...
Yeah. Allin went for the Last Supper pin, which is a crazy pin. I don't know how anyone can get out of that. But Punk fought out. Allin went for a Poison Rana, and Punk countered with a go to sleep for the win. Sting then came out, shook Punk's hand, and then Punk shook hands with Darby Allin, and just another incredible match.
Yeah, he was rattled by the end of that. The crowd was so behind Punk, which was expected, but like it was the atmosphere was amazing in that match. So you just didn't know what was going on. And Allin had so much offense throughout the match.
He did.
But Punk didn't look tired. He didn't look like he missed a beat. He was really good. I thought it was a brilliant match.
He shook the ring rust off very early.
Obviously there was a few different things. That Irish whip when he went into the ring post between the ropes. Like, what was that? He just threw his body on the line.
He's just, and this is why I mentioned Jeff Hardy earlier. You know, he's this daredevil guy that's just going to throw his body around and it'll make other people look great, you know?
Yeah. But like, how did he not break his back? I just expected him to fold around the ring post. Like, that was amazing.
Incredible.
And then obviously Punk hit the go to sleep early, but he rolled out of the ring. Like, he knocked him out of the ring with the go to sleep, and you were like, and Punk just sort of looked at the ref and just went, do it. Like, it was kind of a sign of respect. You know what I mean? Like, it's like when you take the 2 in NRL because you've just been out there line non-stop, and you're like, nah, just count the 10. If you get a 10 count win, I'm happy with this.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I can't keep going. This is too good. And then they just come back and went for another like 15 minutes of just non-stop.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I certainly wasn't expecting what we got from Punk.
No.
You know, I love the guy, but he's been out for 7 years, and you know, just showed why he calls himself best in the world. I gave it a 2.5 count. You know, Allen's so much fun to watch.
He's so skinny though.
He is. He's very small.
He's very fast, but he's so skinny. I was like, eat a steak, bro. Like, I was just watching it going, something's not right there.
Classic emo skateboarder look.
Yeah, he's got that skateboarder thing. No? I gave it a 2.5 count as well myself. There was obviously room for more, but I think I didn't give it any more because I wanted more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could have watched that match for another half an hour. If they had sat there for 30 minutes just looking at each other when they started the match, Punk in the middle of the ring and Darby in the corner, if they just stared at each other for 30 minutes, I would have just been happy with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It was a good start.
Now, this is the tough one to pick. Where to from here?
It's too tough with AEW because I'm so fresh to it. So I don't know what's the backstories and stuff, but obviously CM Punk doesn't really have one.
Yeah.
So I think he might be a bit sore after that match. I don't know if he wants to go straight back into another feud with somebody or whatever. Darby will just keep throwing his body around, I guess, and keep putting people over and getting himself over at the same time. Yeah.
I mean, here's my thoughts. Yeah. Punk's got his confidence back now, wants to continue to prove that he's the best in the world. Would make sense to me for him, and maybe I'm just dream booking, to try and start taking on the Elite and maybe Omega.
Well, but that's sort of been ruined by the end of the pay-per-view, you know what I mean? There's just too much going on. He could join up with Danielson, I guess, and
possibly. But I think he's ready for that step up now to one of the top guys in the company. But as for Allen, look, he showed he can stay at the main event level. A feud with MJF would be fun.
With Darby or
with Darby?
Yeah, I think Punk would be good with MJF. Just the way that Punk sort of laughs off stuff, and he's just like that. You're annoying little thing, and Punk's just quick wit and that kind of stuff would be good to come back at him. Punk might go for Miro.
Try and take a title. Yeah.
Give him his first loss because he hasn't had a loss in AEW yet. So
that's true. There's a lot of options out there.
There's plenty out there.
A lot of options out there. Now we move on from that amazing match to Paul White versus QT Marshall.
The settle the crowd down popcorn match. I like.
Yeah. If ever there was epitome of a popcorn match, this was it. It was a squash match for White. Fought off, Aaron Solo and Nick Commoretto early on. Caught QT off the top rope for a choke slam. Quick match. I gave it a 1 count. Didn't last long. But we saw Marshall get his comeuppance, and we saw Big Show Paul White back in the ring.
Big Show, no more BS, mate. No more BS.
No more BS.
I only gave it a half count personally, but it was good to see Paul in the ring. He didn't look like he was moving very freely though.
No,
that was a bit weird. But some of those slaps he was doling out, when he kept going shh, and then he just whack one out. That was it was loud. It was echoing through the crowd. So it was a bit of fun. You had to bring us down after that last match before we go crazy into the main event. So.
Exactly. And as for what's next, I think Show goes back to the commentary table
box, yeah.
And Marshall,
he'll just fall back into the fold.
Kind of fall back within the fold and target someone else.
Yeah.
So now that the crowd had settled after the popcorn match, we then go into the AEW World Championship match. Kenny Omega, Christian Cage. So much to unpack from this one. Early flurry from Cage, but Omega got him on the outside and hit this double stomp on top of a table.
Yeah.
To crack the table on top of Christian, which was pretty cool.
Not a set up table, mind you, for those who haven't seen it. Just a table on the ground. Just a
table folded up, lying on top of Christian.
Yeah, just smashed it on top of him.
So that was pretty cool. Hit the V trigger, the Snapdragon suplexes that Omega does are just crazy. So quick, so low to the ground. They look amazing.
Yeah.
Cage ended up hitting a spear on Omega through a table, had a kill switch, which Omega kicked out of. Yeah. Cage then went for a kill switch off the top rope. Kenny countered to a one-winged angel for the win.
One-winged angel off the top.
Off the top rope.
Off the top. I think that little bit there needs to be added in because that was wow. When I went quiet. I was like, oh my gosh, is he alive? That was crazy. It was a brilliant match. Oh, Cage looked great. Or at the beginning when he jumped off the top rope over the ring post to the outside onto Kenny as well. I thought that was what's going on there? You know how old you are, mate? What are you doing? You've had injuries.
And it's not like Omega's a young fella either. But just
Omega kept dropping him on his head and neck and stuff, and I was like,
two veterans putting on an awesome match. Now, as we know, the fun didn't end there. The Bucks came out, Gallows and Anderson. They all joined Omega to celebrate in the ring. An assault, Christian Cage, Jurassic Express tried to even the odds up. That didn't work. Omega got on the mic. I quite like Kenny on the mic.
He's funny. It's good.
Basically stated that no one in AEW or that's still alive could beat him. As we mentioned, lights go out. Adam Cole comes out. Does the Adam Cole baby, shtick. Just when he looks like he's about to fight them, super kicks Jungle Boy, hugs his old buddies, and he's back joining the Elite after they killed him off many years ago.
Yeah, after what they did to him, I was very surprised. But then obviously Kenny jumps on the mic. He's like, "Do you think we're going to fight with this guy? He's one of our best mates. Come on." They give him the double kiss on the side of the cheek with the Young Bucks to emulate that photo from years ago. So it was brilliant. Cole got on the mic, cut a bit of a promo. And then Omega got back on, and just as he was about to do his little good night gimmick, the familiar
familiar sound of the Flight of the Valkyries?
Rise
of the Valkyries. Bryan Danielson's music, which can I mention? Apparently, they tried to get the final countdown for Bryan Danielson's entrance music, which was his entrance music before he went to WWE.
Yeah.
Apparently, the cost of getting that song was way, way, way too high. So they organized to use the Rise of the Valkyries song, which is actually free to use because it's an old classical song. They just remixed it in one.
They remixed it to a different tune and stuff like that.
Remixed it in one day to to do it quickly in one day they had, and it actually sounded pretty good. So that music hit. Daniel Bryan comes out, makes his huge AEW debut, runs to the ring, gives Nick Jackson a knee, and helps Christian Jurassic Express to clear the ring of the Elite.
Yeah, and then obviously you had Gallows and Anderson disappeared. I don't know what happened to them, but you had the Young Bucks, Bebe, Adam Cole, and Kenny Omega, the four of them up on the ring apron, just going crazy at the end of it.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was a really great finish.
It
Obviously,
was
two different like debuts and pops because it just get made for it. You know what I mean? The crowd went crazy with the yes chants and stuff like that.
Absolutely. They pulled the swerve on, you know, Adam Cole coming out and then, you know, kind of faking that he was going to go up against the Elite. And then it had you thinking, well, that's going to be the debut. Okay, we're not going to see Bryan.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we see Bryan. It was
swerve us again.
Yeah. So all up, I gave it a 3 count as well.
I gave it 2 3/4. I just couldn't quite get there to the 3, but I mean, I know why you would. Like the whole situation.
I'm probably 2.5 for the match because the match really was incredible.
I'm just sort of just giving the match. Like everything else, I sort of didn't worry about.
Forget the debuts, but then the extra half count I'll give to the debuts, which well and truly have put AEW on the map as a competitor for WWE
in a big way. Like they had to go all out to do this, but I just think the way they did it was amazing.
Yeah, I didn't actually mention it earlier in the show. I forgot, but Mick Foley released something on social media saying, WWE, we need to be prepared for this because, you know, AEW are coming for us now. The way we've handled creative, the way we've handled developmental talent has been terrible, and AEW is making all the right moves. So we're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I think who else, like you got to remember as well. So they've just had Punk, right, into Bryan Danielson, into Adam Cole. You still got Bray just sitting out there as well. Bray's just waiting. Oh, he's obviously Rotunda, but I mean, like we just sort of, what's he going to do? How big's his debut going to be when he hits? Because obviously he's going to hit AEW.
There's plenty of names out there. We've still got Braun Strowman, who
as well
doesn't have a home either. So, you know, there is plenty of people who can go there, and plenty of people who see Adam Cole's move, specifically turning down a main roster spot and more money to go to AEW. So people like Kevin Owens, you know, they'll see that and think that's where I need to be.
Well, they've got that link, that indie talent link and stuff like that with them as well.
That's right.
Which people like Seth Rollins and that had, but Seth's doing so good in the WWE, you know what I mean? So if you're not doing good in the WWE, if you are that mid-carder, you will be looking. But
exactly.
The only issue with AEW is they get too much talent. They're going to fall into that same category that WCW did years ago.
They do that.
Will then turn it on them again, and everybody will fall back to WWE. It's just like that cycle thing.
Yeah.
It happened with TNA when TNA first started getting good. Like you had all the older names, like the good talent, and Kurt Angle signed, and it was Sting was there, Nash, Hogan, everybody, but then you still had that younger talent of Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, all those kind of people. So it's just a cycle, I think. But WWE always seems to be there. So but AEW is on the map.
They are on the map. What's next now after seeing all that unfolded? I mean, I'm thinking Danielson Omega makes sense, right?
100%. But I think he's going to have to go through Cole to get to it.
Yeah. I mean, I love Cole, and I want to see him in one of those big marquee matches. So, you know, Adam Cole, CM Punk, maybe something like that. But I don't want to see Adam Cole as just like an Omega lackey.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, unless if they do like what the Undisputed Era did in NXT and they end up getting the tag titles back. Cole takes Miro's title. They hold all the gold for a little bit, but then it's just something we've seen again. So Tony Khan's like us. He's a fan. So he's got all of these big names around him who know the business. He's a fan. He's going to tell them his input. They're going to tell him what they think. And then we go from there. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
You know, he's got the Bucks. He's got
Cody's like
he's got Cody. He's got Kenny, who are all executive vice presidents who he can kind of lean on as well.
He's got Jericho as well. Like Jericho pretty much runs the company with them. You know what I mean? He doesn't have an official title there, but whenever it's like AEW, it's like, oh, we started something. Whenever Jericho talks about it, he's always saying how they started something together. So he was the first big name, really.
He was. He put them. He gave
their little times.
He gave them the little pin on the map.
Yeah. Look, the best way to describe it is like they've officially got their blue tick from Twitter now. You know what I mean?
That.
Like that's their official blue tick. They are competing now. They're in the big leagues, and it's game on.
As opposed to Bryan Danielson, who no longer has a blue tick on Twitter.
Didn't see that.
Because his Twitter handle was WWE Daniel Bryan.
Of course, right. So
had to ditch that and isn't verified anymore. But that's another story. But Benny, what a pay-per-view.
Yeah. I love one little thing I just wanted to get in. JR pulled out the old, when he was talking about the Christian Kenny match, he pulled out the whole, that's one of the best catch can matches I've ever seen. I was like, yes, I haven't heard that since he called a Shawn Michaels match back in the 90s. So it was brilliant.
Oh, good old JR.
But yeah, just all round pay-per-view. It went for 4 hours as well. WWE's pushing theirs back to 2.5 at the moment. Longer, like Raw goes for longer. But I sat in the lounge for 4 hours and watching it. Didn't even realize it had been 4 hours.
You were glued to the seat. It was really, really well done.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Really well done. So look, thanks so much for joining us on 3 Count Podcast. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll preview Extreme Rules. But as always, we'd love for you guys to hit us up on the socials, throw us some questions, let us know what you think, especially let us know what you think of our dream AEW versus WWE cards that we put up.
I think I'm leading that. Current Facebook comments have got me just a little bit in front of you, Dill.
Oh, yeah.
One of them may be my mother. So thanks, Mum. Love you. Brilliant. But,
granted, we did not count Bryan Danielson or Adam Cole. Things may have been different. But yeah, so, hit us up on the socials at 3 Count Pod on Twitter and Facebook, at 3 Count Podcast on Instagram, or email us 3countpod@outlook.com. Now, Benny, thanks again for your time. How was your first AEW pay-per-view experience?
Absolutely brilliant.
Is Dynamite a must-watch show for you now?
It is, but I still won't be watching it live sort of thing. I like to watch all my wrestling these days, unless if it's a pay-per-view. I like to watch it like on replay, but it's definitely in the cycle now.
Yeah, brilliant.
I think I still haven't actually watched Raw. I'm going to put my hand. I still haven't watched Raw from this week yet because I was watching the pay-per-view and then just sort of catching up on everything. And I'm going to find it tough to go and watch it. I'm not going to lie.
It's going to be
tough.
It's going to be a lot of wrestling to watch each week, but AEW is definitely making the extra 3 hours worth it.
Plenty of time on our hands still. Lockdown.
That's right.
I've got nothing else to do, mate. So
nothing better to do. Thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing what happens on Dynamite this week, and we'll see you next time on the 3 Count Podcast.
See you guys. Thank you very much.